Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. It is Monday, October 27th, 2025, and fall is definitely here. Leaves are falling all over the place, and we are getting our fall rain. It seems that we have cycles, and I would rather have rain than snow, but we are now in our rain time period, let's say for fall. And it's been raining off and on throughout the day and last night. Currently, it's only like 53 degrees, and I don't think it's going to get much better than that throughout the week, but that's okay. There's plenty to do inside the garage, and I will continue to do that. It looks like next week will be better, as far as sunshine and all that. But as you all know, I posted a quick video on a short video on YouTube about the Cobra Jet, and I feel really good about that car right now. I've gotten everything, putting it back together, and just making sure everything is detailed as good as I can get it. And the plan is, at some point over the next few weeks, I would guess, that I will be loading it up and taking it back to Florida. So I've been going through pieces and parts. Now, as you all know, I started with a very rusty 69 Cobra Jet, and I detailed everything from getting the car in here and cutting it apart and salvaging what I could to building the body, and then progressing from there into the work. Excuse me. And as we know, as time has gone on, Charles unfortunately passed away unexpectedly in the middle of the process, and that kind of created some I don't know, confusion, or didn't know where we were going to end up with, as far as the project. And I think it turned out really nice. And so I don't know what the next steps are going to be. Aside from me loading it up and taking it back to Florida, that's all I can do. I don't have the resources to do the engine and the transmission and the interior, and that'll have to be done by somebody else. And I can't worry about it at that point. But I've done my part. I've actually done more than my part, because I wasn't even supposed to paint the car, and as you know, I did, and it looks really, really good. I'm very happy with it, and every time I paint, I feel like I learn something. And I'm still not a fan of painting, though. I still don't like it. There's too many variables and things that can go wrong, it seems like, at any given time. And I will continue to do what I need to do as far as painting, either like this project or future projects of cars that I work on. Along with that in mind, I have been going through boxes, going through parts, and I know that there's going to be, like, when I take the car back, I'm taking back the old fenders, the old doors. I don't know if they want the quarter panels, whatever's here that is not nailed down or necessary for me to keep or anything, because I don't need any of it. I'm going to take all that and send it back, because there's probably bolts and hardware and locations for fasteners and different things that may be valuable to whoever is going to work on it. There was also a box, as with this one, where it had brackets and pieces inside, where panels mounted. And although I did keep the structural pieces and had those little mount brackets attached to them, there's an accessory box, and that goes with it as well. All that's going to go. The old headlights, the old trim, anything that's was part of this project is going to go down the road. And if somebody can make use of it, that's great. If not, then I'm not gonna stress over it, because I can't keep everything from projects that I work on. So that's where we're at. Also, I should point out, you probably can't see it very well right now. This is my hand is. They took the stitches out. This is scabbed up pretty good. It's still really tender, like and I still can't straighten my middle finger. It doesn't. Well, it may never go straight, but that's okay. I can grip a hammer or whatever with it. There is some swelling or something in there, because it's still hard to make a fist, but I'm still being cautious with this. Like, I can do little things and I just don't want to be swinging a hammer or doing something that may inflict pain into the hand. So I'm being cautious with that. I do. The plan is, as I move through boxes and parts and different things, what I want to do is get the Cobra Jet out of the paint booth. And basically, I'm going to do a big shuffle because I have this car sitting behind me, and I have all kinds of pieces and parts for this car that's in my house garage. So what I want to do is get all of that consolidated back in here, get the Cobra Jet into the house garage so it can be moved to the trailer when I take it away. And I'll move my Mach 1 back into the paint booth area because I need to have access to the lift so that I can get this car in the air and do all the suspension work underneath and get it back on the ground. So that's kind of where I'm at with the process. And I've also talked about that I'm working on getting that 63 Falcon. And so that's all part of this as well. I need to get stuff shuffled around, have the Cobra Jet out of here with all the pieces and parts, and then that'll give me a space to put that Falcon. So there's always something going on. So anyway, if you're new to my live stream, I do this on Monday nights at 7 o'clock. I try to talk about Mustangs, cars, some experiences with my life growing up at a junkyard, and anything else that comes to mind. I do focus on cars from like 1955 to 1980. That's probably my best bracket of time. When we started getting into computers and stuff like that, I can do that sort of thing somewhat. I just don't like it. It's just not my thing. I'd rather have an old car that I can work on and not have to have a computer hooked to it to figure out what's wrong with it. So that's it. If you would leave a thumbs up, a comment, and if you have a question, I encourage you to ask it. Sometimes I have really great answers. Sometimes I don't, but I also have a great group of people over there in the chat box that will help me out with answers. So again, we're trying to talk about classic cars in a sense, but sometimes we get stray comments about newer stuff, and we'll try to answer it if we can, but that's where we're at. So first in tonight, Rick Gain. October's almost over, and I still don't know what happened to August. Let's have some good car talk. Everybody hit the thumbs up button for Barry. Yep, wait. And there we go. That's a better bell. Thank you, Rick. Glad you're here. Dave Tyson. Good evening, all. Evening, Dave. Glad you're here. Terry Keithley. Good fall evening, everyone. And Barry, please give Barry a thumbs up and like button. Thank you kindly, Terry and Betty and the cats. Prayers for Barry's mom. Yes, thank you for that, Terry. I should bring that to attention as well. I've mentioned previously that my mom she has pancreatic cancer, and we're dealing with that as a family, going through what we can. She's not going to take treatments. She's on some medicines, but she's not going to do any cancer like chemo stuff, and so we're just taking it as it comes. My sisters and all of my family are in Pennsylvania around her, and she's being well taken care of. But we're just kind of, but it's going to take its course, and when her time comes, she says she's ready to go. So I commend her for that. That's her decision, and I won't argue with that at all. I feel the same way. If I were in that situation, I doubt if I would take any treatments either. Let me get on down the road, and not have to suffer through any of that. So thank you, Terry. Hey, Metco Man. Hello, everyone. Hello, sir. Glad you're here. TJ. Good evening, Barry and everyone from East Dublin, Georgia, home of the Field of Mustang Dreams. Welcome, TJ. Glad you're here. Jiggy. Good evening, all. Let's get some heated discussion going. It's cold in the shop. You know what? It's nice and warm in my shop because I have the mini split running that so many people claimed that thing wouldn't last a year. When I first installed that mini split, there were so many naysayers. Oh, that's junk. It'll never last, and blah, 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 blah. And you know what? They've been using mini splits over in Europe for decades. And this thing, I literally haven't done nothing but clean the screens. That's it. and try to keep the weeds out of the outside unit. But it's comfortable in here. It's probably 72, something like that. No complaints. Steve Reed, hello Barry and everyone. You're having a great day. Hope you're having a great day. Let everyone give a thumbs up. Thank you, Steve. Travis Holtman, good evening, Barry and all. One of my top 5 patrons. Glad you're here, Travis. Jerry's Garage, the Money Pit. Good evening to all from Middle Tennessee. Thumbs up for Barry. Thank you, Jerry. And Vincent Fitante. Again, I hope I'm saying that right. Good evening, all. New Hampshire is in the house. Well, there you go. I need to get up that way again sometime. I've talked about it before. I was up in Rhode Island at the Nordic Lodge. Need to make another trip up there to the New England states. So welcome. Glad you're here. Hindsight 6-7. Roger. Greetings next door. Greetings, Raj. Glad you're here. Steve Reed. The Mach 1 Mustang. Really a fine work you have done. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that. Richard. Good evening, Barry. Slither is too nice. I would be afraid to drive it with the nuts on the road. Me too. Me too. Glad you're here, Richard. Ed Cucciarella. Hello, all. Hello, Ed. I believe you're out in California, if I remember correctly. Nandu. I want to say Pennsylvania. Good evening, all. Hope you're doing well. Welcome, Nandu. Dave Conville from representing New Jersey. Welcome, Dave. Rusty's Restoration. Hello, all. And Barry, hope all is going good with the hand. Everyone give a thumbs up. Thank you, Rusty. And you're in like the Midwest somewhere, I think. David, bowler hat guy. Evening, all. Or hello, all. Good evening, Barry. Good evening, sir. Glad you're here. Troy Justin. Good evening, Barry and gang. From a 60 degrees cool and rainy coastal Georgia. I love this time of year in Georgia. I don't mind the cooler weather. I just don't need the rain. I don't need the rain. But I'm okay with the cooler weather. Now that I've done, I've moved on to doing other things around the shop, I'm okay with it. But you can have the rain. Although it's funny, my wife was saying we need more rain. I'm thinking, for what? There's nothing going on. There's nothing growing, but I get it. It's good to have it. Mr. Mikey. Howdy, all, and Sir Barry. Thank you, Mikey. Glad you're here. Travis, for the emblem not fitting, could it be the quarter panel is curved, but 2x4 is flat? Also, are you missing the rubber bumpers under the hood to lift the hood up a bit where it is low on the side? That's a good question. That is a good question. Now, the emblem, I put it on the side of my Mach 1. And we're talking about the Mustang emblems. And you're right, the curve could come into play because these things are definitely flat, as seen here, right? And I point out that they have 2 little tabs on the back. Basically, this is upside down. So if you were to slide this onto the studs, it's supposed to lock on. And I did an experiment because I don't have the studs on the Cobra Jet. There's no studs. And I have screws, and I thought about running the screws in, and I did some testing. And what I did is I took 2 screws and ran them into a 2x4, and I tried to push this onto it. And I don't know, I don't think it's the curve that was the problem, and the fact that the 2x4 is flush and straight, because this is square. This is flat, and you have the curve of the quarter panel. So if anything, it's gonna maybe teeter a little bit on that quarter panel, right? But on the 2x4, I had the screws out far enough that they could easily travel up in these slots. But they didn't want to fit those studs right, and so I'm electing to not put this on with the screws. I've already ordered some 3M double stick tape, and I'll layer the inside of this with the 3M stick tape, get it in the place that I want it, and press it onto the quarter panel. I don't think it'll be a big deal. When I did slide this on to my Mach 1, this slid on really easy, and it slid off really easy. So I'm not even really confident with how well this would stay, and I don't want to run the risk of, if I did run those 2 screws in, and I was trying to force this on and make it lock in, and I either bent the screws or one of the screws broke, and I jammed this into the quarter panel, and not going to do it. Just not going to do it. So I'm just going to take the easy route. I'll say the easy way out, and use the double stick tape. Now, the hood bumper, or what you're talking about with the rubber bushings that go into the fender that kind of help the hood stay up a little bit. It may help a little. I think what I've run into is a combination of things, because the factory hood, I tried to manipulate that hood. I mean, I had Roger help me. I even took a block of wood and put it under the edge of it and pulled down on the front of it. It's a risky thing to do. And I didn't want to put too much force on it and run the risk of kinking the hood, right? So the hood, an aftermarket hood, is not welded. You can manipulate it, you can twist it, you can do a lot with it. And that's why whenever I put in a deck lid or a hood or something, I'll get it in position and then I'll tack weld it on the edges so that it can't twist anymore. But with a factory hood, there's really not much I have to move or manipulate. So it may help to put those rubber bushings in, but there's also the idea that the fender height could be a little bit taller on that fender too. I mean, it's an original 69 or 69 fender, or at least a Ford tooling fender. I don't know if it's original 69 or reproduction, but it was made with Ford tooling. It has the date codes on it. So I wouldn't think that, but it's possible that that sidewall height of the fender could be a little bit taller on that side too. There's all kinds of variables. I know these things were not anywhere near perfect when they were new, so I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. But that's a good idea. I may try to push those some of those bushings, bumpers in there, and see if that'll help a little bit. So that's a good idea, Travis. Michael, evening all. I started building out the front disc brakes. Oh, that's a bonus. Always fun. Steve Reed, I feel for you and your family. My mom had that, and she has been gone for a few years now. Yeah. Well, we lost my mom's sister to that, and my mom's niece to the same thing. And it's very unfortunate. And my mom's 81 years old, so she doesn't want to go through the extra suffering of treatments and stuff to make it last a few more months maybe. And I don't blame her. But yeah, thank you, Steve. Doyle Walker, I am about ready to order my paint. What's the minimum temperature to paint a single stage, no heat or insulation in my garage walls? That's a tough question. Now, I don't know if it matters so much between single stage and like base coat, clear coat. I haven't sprayed much single stage, but typically I want it to be at least 70 degrees when I'm spraying, at least. Anything below that could definitely be a problem. And you could probably pull up, like what I normally do is if I have a question, I go to the PPG data sheets. I'll do a search on the part number for the paint that I'm using, and typically I can pull up a data sheet that'll give me the paint parameters. It'll tell me what the mix ratio is. It'll tell me the temperature, all that sort of thing. So I would recommend you do that and get that information from the manufacturer. But I would say at least 70 degrees, and that's all I really have for you. But it'll be tough to paint anything below that temperature, in my opinion. That was a good question. Victor, I'll be praying for your mom, yourself, and your family, brother. Thank you, Victor. Appreciate that. I do. TD, my son has a 68 coupe with a Sprint package. It has a 206 in it. It has some driver's front frame rail rust. Are we better off just leaving it alone? It cosmetically looks really nice. That is a great question. That is a great question. Now, driver's side front frame rail rust. That is odd. I'll say that. Typically, you get more frame rail rust on the right side because of the battery. Okay? So if you got rust on the left frame rail, it depends on how bad it is. Like, is it something that you can put your hand in? Is it behind the bumper? Is it in any way going to collapse if it gets, in a wreck or something like that? It's hard to say leave it alone because I don't typically do that. I have done frame rail repair on the front, and I've got videos on that on my channel under the light blue 65 Mustang. I actually section out the damaged areas on that car and replace it with some aftermarket frame rail pieces. But it's hard to say without, if it's just surface rust or pitting, maybe not a big deal. But if you got something where you again, put your hand in it or it's soft, like crunchy, probably should be addressed. And you could do various things. Like I would like to, if I do something, I'm going to make it look like it was from the factory, more or less. But you could just cut out whatever's rusted and put in a piece and weld it in, reinforce it, and do that as well. So it's really hard to give a good assessment without seeing it. Oh, my air compressor kicked on. I guess I didn't turn my air off. Pardon me for the interruption. Bob Shoemaker, evening all from rainy Oklahoma. Evening, Bob. Glad you're here. That'll kick off in a minute. I know it might be affecting the microphone. I don't know. But we'll kick off in a minute. Pat Attic, hello from PA. Hello, Pat. Glad you're here. Travis, 3M tape is a great idea. I'll probably do the same. Maybe you look at 3M adhesive primer. You could. I mean, that's a possibility. I really, we used to do a lot of emblem stuff with the at the body shop, and we would use a 3M tape, and it adhered really well. I mean, it stuck really well, and there's a lot of texture with this, where these clips are, the little recesses around the rivets or whatever they use to hold this together, and I mean, I'll make sure it's clean. Obviously, don't want any fingerprints or anything that's going to cause it to not stick. But that's, that's probably what I'm doing. And of course, in the airline industry, we use a lot of tape for sticking on carpets and stuff. They had the double stick tape, carpet tape that you would put down, and then stick the carpets to them. A lot of people don't know that. The floors of the airplanes are like a honeycomb panel. So they're like fiberglass, honeycomb, and then once those are attached and all the tracks for the seats are put in or whatever, but then the carpet is, they put down carpet tape and then stick the carpet to it, because if they ever want to pull it up, they can pull it up. They don't have to do anything, really difficult. Grab it, pull it out, and look for damage or anything like that. Or if they're doing an upgrade, want to change the color of the interior of an aircraft, they can take that carpet up and put down a different color. So just a little aircraft information there. Richard, did you happen to keep the old quarter panels from Slither? I was wondering how the roof emblem fits on that. That's a good question. I hadn't thought about that. They are still out here. And I don't know what they're going to do as far as if they're going to go with the car, because they're not really worth saving at this point. All the flanges are bad, so you have the main shell that looks okay, but that's it. You can't do anything with them. But they do still have those studs on there, and I may have to check that. And the other thing I have to do now that you're There you go. Now the compressor's off. Now that you reminded me, is I've got to take the data emblem, the door tag off the old door and put it on the new door. I got to transfer that. Not that I'm going to keep the doors anyway. Those are going to go. I don't want any of that stuff. Even the fenders, they may be rebuildable or reusable, but they're going to go away. I need it all to go away. And then I'm going to do a cleanup too. I've probably told you all before that whenever I'm working on these cars, when I take stuff apart, I hang on to almost everything. Almost everything. Like if it's got a bolt in it or a screw or a mount point, whatever, my flatbed truck sitting out here is piled up with pieces and parts of the old Cobra Jet and even some from this car, because I don't scrap it until I'm done. Sometimes you never know. You're digging around and you realize, oh, where's that? What happened to this piece? And lo and behold, it's right there. It's still on the old part that was cut off. Now I've gotten rid of stuff like the roof, the floor pans, frame rails, all that sort of thing. I did remove all the brackets for, like the tie down things that go on the frame rails. I did pull all that off. I've removed everything that I can before I get rid of that stuff. So once I get the Cobra Jet gone and the fenders and doors and everything else, then I'll empty out the or most of the truck and part ways with that stuff. It's easy, and I've run into this with people before who have they've worked on something, and they'll contact me and say, hey, do you have this or do you have that? Like one of the big ones is the stainless trim on the coupes that goes up in the window, around the door glass. People in the past, I hope they've changed their format, they'll grab a hold of that thing and rip it out and throw it away, not realizing they don't make them for the coupes. And then it's like a scramble. Where do you get these? And I've actually sent a pair of those over to a guy in like Sweden or something. He made a mistake of throwing them away. And I had a set, and then I had another set that I sent to, I think, a guy out in California. I don't remember anymore. But that's why you just don't get in a hurry and get rid of stuff. Hang on to it. Put notes on it, whatever you need to do, so that you're not backtracking and struggling trying to put pieces back together. Don's Manufactory. Hello from Super Soggy PDX. Welcome, Don. Super Soggy PDX. Yeah. It's soggy here. It is. It's rather damp. We've been having, we're going to have rain probably throughout today and even tomorrow, and cooler temperatures, of course. And it makes it, I don't know. I like to have the garage door open, but not when it's cold and dreary and wet. Hey, Mecca Man, for single stage paint, you want at least 70 degrees. Too cold, it will become thick and you'll get a lot of orange peel, and humidity plays a big part also. So there's a good answer. There's a good answer. Thank you for that. Like I said, I don't usually spray single stage. So not only have I not sprayed it, but I know you can sand it and buff it, but I've just never done it. And maybe at some point I should. Maybe I should experiment and see what kind of results I could get by using single stage. Might be different. I don't know. But thank you for that. Dawn says the atmospheric river dumping inches of rain in the last 2 days. Yeah, that's not fun. That's not fun. Don't need it. That sounds like way too much. I know they're talking about having a hurricane is coming through Jamaica or something. It's supposed to be hitting the U.S. soon. I don't know. I don't keep up until I have the weather nailing me. I don't really pay much attention to it, but that sounds like too much rain. So, as I was going through pieces and parts, what was there? There was something else that jumped out at me. Oh, I was as I've talked about this a little bit about this Falcon. That this is I'm going to put this picture up again because I talked about it before. That's basically what I kind of want this Falcon to look like if and when I get it on the road. But I was looking at, I started Googling to see what was out there as far as pieces and parts. And, there's some, but there's not a lot of parts for these cars out there. But apparently the idea of doing maybe doing some sort of a autocross or something at some point could come into play. That's what this car is going to be doing. And I've said it to the owner as well that this is something that I want to do here, is build this in that sense, because I had that itch. And the Falcon is going to be maybe part of that. I did find out that there is SCCA race events at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And Atlanta Motor Speedway is only 20 minutes away from where we live. And so I'm like, this might be a good thing to have lined up. Roger and I we raced, did some dirt track racing. And that's fun. But the thing with racing dirt track or even asphalt, you get the chance of crashing pretty bad. You normally you might have somebody who is out to get you, or you might have somebody who spins out in front of you and you end up plowing into them. Then you spend the next week fixing that car so you can take it back and maybe do it all over again, right? And the same thing even with asphalt. You could easily have the same problem. So that I think that ship has sailed as far as racing for that style. And then I've had people talk to me about hey, have you thought about drag racing? It's like, sort of, but not. Drag racing, I mean, yes, it's a challenge. You're building an engine, you're driving in a straight line, right? Keep it on the track, outrun this guy. But again, there's some risk, I think more risk involved with it. And you also can invest a lot into that, right? So the autocross idea, yes, you can easily invest a lot into that as well, but you can also enter your minivan if you wanted to. All right, I could take my wife's minivan and go race at this place. So I'm thinking that's what this Falcon will turn into. And I mean, I think this car looks fantastic. You got these cutouts like the dirt track car. We had big tires under it. And that's what it reminds me of. And I've actually taken, I did a Photoshop type of thing, and I put the old race car number on the side of that car, so just to see what it would look like. Showed it to Roger. So I think it'd be pretty cool to maybe get that figured out. And that's not a priority. This is the priority. I'll be working on this, and of course, trying to get maybe a little bit done here and there on my Mach 1, but on my off time, I could easily put some front suspension under the Falcon and do a couple things here and there just to make it eventually drivable. Let's see, Rich Watley, hopefully California doesn't ban cars before mine is done, as if I need another reason to move to a more red state. Welcome to Georgia. Mr. Mikey, Machine Shop called at 5. The 289 heads are ready. Yahoo. Oh, awesome. That's a good sign. It's always nice to have parts done and be ready to go pick them up. Rich Watley, 65 watching and only 35 thumbs up. Come on, guys. We enjoy being here. Help Barry out and hit the thumbs up. Thank you, Rich. Appreciate that. It's actually showing 71 watching, which is a good number for me. It must be rainy and wet in other places, and people want to be entertained by me rambling on about things. Hey, Matt, come in. I want to paint the bottom of my Mustang, but could not get the temperature up. Yeah. Well, you're just gonna have to wait. Gonna have to wait. Richard, I wonder how they install those roof elements without damaging the paint. Is there a rubber seal that fits around the edge? No, there's not. It's just, I guess because of the curve, maybe a little bit of the curve of the quarter panel. When they bring it in, it's just barely making contact on those front and rear of the curve. That's all I can guess. I don't know. The thing is, don't take this the wrong way. I hate these things. Okay? These don't need to be on a Mach 1. I'm just saying it. I'm saying it. That's right. I said it. These do not need to be on the quarter panel of a Mach 1. And I'll put them on my car because the studs are still there. But if the studs weren't there, these would not go on my car. Because, honestly, what's the appeal of this? What's the appeal of this? It's a running horse, right? There's a left and a right. This one happens to be the driver's side. Running horse going forward. I don't get it. It's not attractive. It looks like an afterthought. Like, oh no, we don't have enough to label it as a Mustang. We have Mustang in the grill, and we have Mustang on the deck lid, and we have Mach 1 on the side, and this and that and the other. And then it's like somebody said, well, let's put this shiny, chunky thing on the side of the quarter panel. This looks like something you would put on, a gas cap, right? That's what it looks like. So I don't know why they put these on these cars, but, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me, but this is unnecessary on the side of a Mach 1. It is not needed. Let's see. Troy Justin, me and my son drove some exotic cars around the Atlanta Motors Raceway. I drove a Lamborghini and my son drove a McLaren. We had a good time. It was a present from my wife and daughter. That sounds like fun. And now you got me thinking. I have to remind. I did a event down there. And Roger went with me. I did 2 different events. One was we called it Beat the Jeep event. I don't know if I think Roger was with me on that one. And it was basically like showcasing Jeep products, right? So they wanted you to drive them and take them off in road course stuff and blah blah blah. And it was we just called it Beat the Jeep because it was just thrashing on these things. And then the other one was a Corvette event, and they had people, I guess, bring their own personal Corvettes, like the Corvette Club, and it was demonstrating like the ABS on the Corvettes, the traction control, the performance, on wet sections of road, and then they had a road course thing. Let me tell you, this thing was. They said, okay, there's these cones, and the guy's going to ride with you. And have you ever done this before? And I'm like, no, I haven't done it before. And they said, okay, well, just don't hit the cones and, go through them as quickly as you can. Now, mind you, when somebody gives me permission to uncork a car, I'm going to do it. Okay. And so here we are on this road course thing on asphalt. And this guy's with me in the car. Green light goes. And I'm hammering this vet. I am throwing this thing in the corners. I'm trying to make it spin out. I'm just shoving this car into the corners, just back and forth, sawing on the wheel. And we're about 2/3 of the way through this course. And the guy looks, he says, "You're pretty good at this. You ever done this before?" And I said, Nope, first time. He was like, I would not have guessed that. And I said, yeah, okay. Now, I don't know if there was a official time kept or anything like that, but man, did I have a good time throwing that Corvette around like it was a rental. I don't even know what the repercussions were. Like if you broke it, if they would do anything. I don't know. There was nothing like you pay for it if you broke. They never said anything to me about that. But man, I had a good time thrashing that car. So I highly recommend it. If you get a chance, somebody throws you keys to a Corvette and says, go thrash this thing, do it. Rich Watley, we built a 10-second Econoline years ago. Broke a lot of hearts, street racing, 351 Windsor with AFR heads, and a 200 horsepower nitrous kit. That sounds like fun. Yeah. Yeah. That sounds like fun. Hey, Matt Command, small window of opportunity with nobody home. You know the smell. Okay. Oh. I'm not going there. Rick Stevenson, greetings everyone. Just got home from the road. Greetings, Rick. Glad you're here. Hope you had a good trip. Dawn says they are cool though. Fake Le Mans fuel cap. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I just think they're tacky. I really do. Not that I would want to dechrome a car, but it just feels like it was an afterthought that they put that up there. And I mean, I'll put it on the Cobra Jet, and I'll debate. Now that I'm really thinking about it, I may debate. No, I'll probably put them on my car since the studs are still there. And I think there's whoever had my car had bought Ford original emblems. Like these are aftermarket. Dan Carpenter, I believe. I think is who makes these. And I have some original Ford ones that came with my car. It's still in the package, so I'll probably put those on. Mr. Mikey was brand enhancement back in the day, that running horse emblem. Yeah, I get it. I do. But it's just, I don't get it. I don't like having it on the side of the car. You work so hard to get this quarter panel smooth transition, no flaws in it, and then you just put this chunky thing on the side of it. Pat Attic, kind of looks like the Mustang valance panel on that Falcon. I bet that would be a fun autocross or hill climb car. Yeah, this thing, if you Google 63 Falcon street legal dirt track car or something like that is what I Googled to find that image, you'll see this car. And then there's also videos of these guys doing autocross, various models of the Falcon, like 63, 64, 65, doing autocross events. And I love the way it looks. It's pretty cool. Roger says, I did the Corvette one. I think Terry did the Jeep one. Okay, I couldn't remember. I was pretty confident you did the Corvette one. And I know Terry was with me for the Beat the Jeep event, but I thought maybe you were along for that one as well. But, yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time. And I would definitely do that again. Michael, drive it like you stole it. Yeah, that's exactly what I was doing. Because don't give me permission like that. It's like I have a friend who has a 2024 Mustang GT. Pretty cool car. It's got, this button for this thing and a button for this thing and a button for this thing, and you could change the handling package or whatever. You can change the performance and economy and blah 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 blah, whatever. All kinds of buttons and gizmos in these new cars. And he's a very cautious person. And I get it. He takes care of his stuff. He really, really does. And so this was earlier this year. He had stopped by my place, and he was showing me his car, and he said, "Hey, let's go for a ride." And I was like, "That's okay. I'll go. We'll go." He wanted to go get gas or something, and he said, "I'll let you drive it." And I said, "If you let me drive it, you have to be careful with that because I'm gonna want to put my foot to the floor." And he looked at me. He says, "I've never done that." And he's had this car. It's got like 25,000 miles on it or something. I said, you did what?" He said, "I've never done that." I said, "Why not?" He said, I don't want to, he was like anxious about it. Okay. And I said, "Well, you don't want me to drive it then because I'm going to want to put my foot to the floor." And he was like, "Well, let me think about it." So we ended up going to get gas, and then we were coming back to my place, and he had me drive. And it's a nice car. It is. Mustang, GT. And we get onto the street that we live on. And he's sitting there, and he's finally like, "Do it." I said, "Are you sure?" He said, "Yeah, do it." Man, put my foot to the floor. Now, granted, we were in a zone that was like a 35 zone. So I only got it up to about maybe 80 really quick, and then I let off. I said, "Okay, that was good." And he was like, "Oh, I've never done that." I was like, "Man, you got a car that'll do this and you won't drive it like that? You got to do it. You got to do it once in a while." That was fun, though. Troy, I prefer the 70 over the 69. The 70 looks cleaner to me. They did away with a lot of the chunky junk. I agree with you to a point. I do. But what I don't like about the 70s is the extra cladding they put on the side. The big metal plates on the bottom of the doors and the fenders and, Mach 1, this big chunky, I don't like that. And I also don't like the tail panel where they put that, they did something, I think it was on those. They had something back there as well, or it was an option or something. So I don't like those options. And I just happen to be a fan of the 4 headlights. I don't know why. I just think it's cool looking to see the 4 headlights. But I get what you're coming from. As far as getting rid of the vent on the side, that doesn't do anything anyway. No emblems, I don't think I had the emblems on. Yeah, they didn't have them on the quarters. And overall, like I said, they did kind of smooth them out a little. But I just don't like the cladding. I don't like that big Mach 1 plate thing on the side of the car. It just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't look right. But it's, styling is that's what they did back then. Hey, Matco Man, for painting, have a sip of coffee. Yes. Okay. Bob Shoemaker, those side items were the first thing that got stolen from my nephew's 69 at school parking lot. Yeah, I'm not surprised. They come off really easy. Really easy. This is N-Scale Jeff. Evening, everyone. Evening, Jeff. Glad you're here. TDE, back to my Sun 68 Sprint. The driver's side frame rail rust in the shock tower area with some lower shock tower rust. The car looks good. I guess that is that really a problem with a 6-cylinder? Not really. Not really. I mean, if it's rusted through, and it's in a location where you could have some weakness, then it might be more of a concern. If it's a 6-cylinder car, I'm sure he's not going to be out hammering it, right? Just casually driving it for the most part. But I would be more concerned if it's rust through and you can put your fingers or hand through where the rust is. If it's heavy pitting, you may be able to just treat it and, drive on from there. N-Scale Jeff. Hi, it's Jeff, the Mustang guy. Welcome, Jeff. Richard, those NOS roof emblems sound like rare pieces. It's cool they were included with your Mach 1. Yeah. Yeah. it's remarkable. As I go through what I ended up doing as I was putting together the Cobra Jet, and I realized because the Mach 1 that I have is just gutted, right? I mean, I have all the parts, but it's in boxes everywhere. And so as I was assembling the Cobra Jet and realizing, well, I need this package for putting in a grill, I need this package for XYZ, whatever it was, I just went ahead and ordered doubles because I figured it's better to have them now, put them in the car, and when I get to them, I have those pieces ready to go. So like the fender bumpers we were talking about, on the sides, there's a package for the cowl, rubber bumpers and screws and all that stuff. And so I just have ordered, that sort of thing. But that car has so many new parts in it. I mean, there's a whole new disc brake setup. There's boxes with steering components, control arms, just a whole variety of things that I want to put on the car. I do, but I don't want to do. I could easily work on a suspension, put stuff together, but I'm not going to do that until I have everything done underneath the car and the frame rail, frame rails are done, or, they're not, there's no rust, but I mean like cleaned up, painted, all that sort of thing before I put anything together on the bottom of the car. And I need to pull the differential out and seal it at the minimum. I may end up putting a different differential in it. I haven't decided yet, but there's things like that I want to do before I commit to putting all the new parts on. David, new GT. I need new tires every other week. Yeah, it's a fun car. Travis, I've only been up to 120 in my GT 350. Okay. Yeah, the fastest I've been is about 128, 130 miles an hour in a 67 Plymouth Belvedere with nearly bald tires on it. That's where I got a speeding ticket in Virginia. Troy, I agree with you on the junk on the side skirts. It looks bulky. I had a friend with a clean 351 Cleveland Fastback. I wish I could have gotten that from him. Yeah. Yep. Jeff, I want to put leaf spring extenders on my 66 Mustang. Is that okay? You can. I mean, that's usually, that's a common thing done in the 80s, right? 70s and 80s. Jack the car up a bit in the back and put some bigger tires on it if you wanted to. Yeah. I mean, that's a simple thing to do. Shouldn't really affect much. Shouldn't. Dawn, I had Betsy up to 130 back in the day. That's moving. Yeah, it's moving pretty good. Travis, glad you're still here going that fast. Yeah. Yeah, me too. That was a lot of fun in the 67 Plymouth, let me tell you. Jeff, I was at 165, but in a Dodge NASCAR stock car. Yeah. I would be happy to do it in one of those. I'd feel a lot safer with a big roll cage around me. Travis, are you taking your Mach 1 to bare metal? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was already, a lot of that was already done. Like the roof and stuff had been stripped down and reprimed. But yeah, I'll strip everything back off, take it back down. And now I have the Wi-Fi signal again. Why is it doing that? That's weird. Yeah, I'll strip it all back down and, epoxy it and start over. So, and I'm looking forward to getting to that point, but I've got other things to do right now. Rick Aim, many years ago, my girlfriend had my 65 up to 130 on Route 287 in New Jersey. That's moving pretty good. 130 is, I'm telling you, that's moving pretty good. The only other car that I've had it was a scary fast, and it was really dumb of me to do this. I was in a 62 Galaxy 500, and my family, we were all on the ambulance service for our town, right? So we felt like that gave us some permission to, to go fast. And there was an ambulance call, and me and my mom jumped in this 62 Galaxy and took off. And I had that car well over 120 miles an hour. I'm pretty sure of that. It was well over 100. I know that for a fact. And my mom was like, "You need to slow down." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's probably a good idea, Mom, because that car handled like a boat. I mean, it was just a big marshmallow going down the road. Not a good idea. Not a good idea. Don't do that in an old Galaxy 500. Steph, I'm going to say Stefan, right? I don't know. I hope I'm right. Stefan Thurm. Good evening, everyone. What's your opinion on connecting the front and rear frame rails? Good question. It's a good idea. It is. It also is structurally, it adds strength to the car, right? It helps eliminate some possible twist. But it also, depending on the car, adds some support underneath where the seat mounts. And I bring this up because I've had this picture with me for quite on here for a while now. I think it was. Do I still have it? Harvey had sent me these pictures of this car. That was a 67 his son had that got in a wreck. And what happened when it got hit is that is the passenger side floor. That's actually the passenger side floor. And so you can see what it did. It rotated the frame rail and pushed it up into the seat area. And if there was a passenger there, they probably likely would have been hurt pretty bad. And I hang on to these pictures because it emphasizes just how much these cars can, fold up. So with that question, what that allows for is you add that rigidity underneath there, right? Underneath the seat riser. Connect those two pieces. Now you've created structure for compression, right? And more than likely, it's less likely that frame rail would want to rotate up into the passenger compartment. Just saying. So it's a good idea. There are various designs out there. I had tried to use one for the Cobra Jet car from Spin Muffler or something. Don't do that. Whatever that company was, Spin Tech Muffler or something. Those are garbage. They're just cosmetic. But there are plans out there where you can buy some straight square tubing, and the plans will show you exactly where to cut the metal and bend it and weld it back together to give you the correct angles that you can do it yourself. I mean, you can buy them pre-made. You can buy ones that are bolt-on. I mean, there's a variety of ways to do it. I would rather have them probably welded to the car, just because I like to weld stuff. But yeah, I like the idea of putting in the frame connector. So hope that answers your question. Do some research. Look at what's out there. Like I think probably Fat Man Fabrications probably sells a bolt-in version, but there are other ones out there that are definitely weld-in type of things. So check them out. Travis, when I come to Georgia, I'll fix your computer so it doesn't go to Wi-Fi if you're plugged in. Yeah, I have it. Supposedly, the Wi-Fi's turned off. Like, it shouldn't even be able to pick up Wi-Fi, but yet it does. Crazy. Dawn says doing 130 is like driving 70 miles per hour on a freeway, dodging parked cars. Yeah. Oh yeah. Or it's a lot like just driving right through Atlanta. or on 285 around Atlanta. I can tell you, if you're not doing 80 miles an hour on the bypass around Atlanta, you're going too slow. People are passing you. It's crazy. It's crazy. Doyle, I had my 64 Galaxy 500 up to 120. The accelerator got stuck racing a 65 with a 390. I did win, but wow, what a ride. I'll bet. Yeah. You know, and it's not a funny thing to get an accelerator stuck. And I get scared when I hear of stories where somebody got the accelerator stuck and they panic and they either try to stand on the brakes. They don't know what to do, right? And I've seen classic cars, just get totaled because an accelerator is stuck, and somebody just they can't think what to do, you know. And I don't know if it's just because of my being around cars all my life, and you know the background, and I know I've had instances where that has happened. In fact, it happened on a '68 Mustang Fastback that we were working on at the body shop. I had taken it out for a test drive. It was going through the gears, and it had dual fours on it. And that thing, hoo-hoo, I stepped on the gas, and the linkage, whatever happened with the linkage, it rotated the back carburetor linkage and let it go full. It didn't matter what I did. Now, of course, I didn't like pushing. It was a stick shift car. I didn't push in the clutch. I quickly reached down and shut the key off and let that car just calm down. It did that like twice to me before I found out what was going on, and I realized that the linkages on the carburetor, somebody had worked on it. Wasn't me. Somebody had worked on it, and they used the wrong rod, and that rod was like too short. And so when it would kick, like you step on the gas, it would pull the throttle or whatever, and then it would allow it to go over center, and it was like fighting against it. Like you'd let off the gas, and it was actually giving it more gas. It was a mess. It was a real mess. But I got to figure it out. But that was a scary thing. Stefan, I have some frame connectors now that I got pretty cheap for my 69. They are the tube kind that have boxes at the ends that you can weld over the frame rails. Some folks have told me, why would you do that? Engineers design the cars without them. Yeah, but you got to remember, the engineers in 1969 didn't have the same mindset that we have today. They don't think the same. It's a totally different era. So like a modern car is designed to collapse and crush everything around the occupants and save the people inside. Back then, those cars, I mean, they have rigid bumpers on them. They don't have any collapse points. It took a while for them just to develop the hoods that would kink. If you look at a hood and it has a corner stamped into it, that's designed for compression so that the hood can kink up rather than go back into the windshield. So stuff like that. But the cars, I mean, these old cars didn't have really any safety guidelines. If you think about it, this is all just tin spot welded together, right? There's not even there is a frame, but it's not a real frame like a truck or something like that. So this thing has to be welded solid so that everything takes that impact. But, I don't have any issue with putting on a frame connector. Especially if you're going to be doing maybe some aggressive driving with it or racing or something like that. I don't have an issue with it. But the engineers back then, let's put it in a little more perspective. Just because they designed it that way doesn't mean it was right. How about that? You can look at cars throughout the whole evolution of time of automobiles, and somebody will say, "Oh, you need to put do it like whatever, blah blah blah, whatever the thing was." Well, there was no safety thought They were just worried about how it looked cosmetically. This is a pretty car. Great. What happens if it hits a brick wall? Well, it just folds up like an accordion. That's why like a 61 bubble top Impala or a 59 Impala, where it had windshield posts, right? Little skinny windshield posts. What happened whenever anything hit that car? It just, the roof would collapse, it would crush, it would fold up, So I give engineers credit for improving the safety of cars over time. Just because it was done that way then doesn't mean it was a good idea. Doyle, I put it neutral and shut off the engine, but it smoked after that, causing me to trade for my 69 Cutlass I am recreating now. Okay. Dawn, I fabricated torque box connectors for Betsy. Lots of work, but it really stiffened the chassis. Yeah. And Dawn, you did some really cool stuff as well. I have to commend you. I know we've talked about it before where you did that 1-inch square tubing under the cowl and added, reinforcement stuff. I thought that was just fantastic engineering on your side of it. Dave Tyson, solid steering shaft. That's a good point. Yep. Yeah, the spear. Yeah. You need a straight steering shaft coming right out of the box. Nowhere to go except into your chest. Stefan didn't think about that, so these cars can literally be cut in half if hit hard enough from the side. But yes. Yeah, the only thing that makes these cars structural is the rocker panels, right? So you have the outer rocker panel, the curved piece, and you have the flat piece on the inside. That is the frame for these cars. But depending on the year model, like if you don't have torque boxes, there's nothing between the firewall and anything else. Just the frame rails riding underneath on the bottom. You've got the seat risers, right, which help with some of the compression. But like on this pan, it's a convertible pan I put in this car. So it has a rigid structure all the way across. So the compression from the side is even reduced. Okay. And this has internal rocker panels. So it has the convertible floor pan. So it has the outer, the center plate, and the inner, which kind of takes the place of the frame connectors in a sense. Now, this car is going to have a lot more goodies going underneath it. TCI suspension has all kinds of connections and stuff going on that's going to make it even stronger. But yeah, these cars were not meant to be safety oriented by any means. Well, they did put seatbelts. We'll say that they did have seatbelts. David, the unibody was designed to come off the line as cheaply as possible. That is 100% correct. Yep. Because you don't need a frame, you don't need extra bolts holding it together, all that stuff. It's just pieces held together, spot welds, right? That's what they do. Gene is checking in. Hey, y'all. Hey, Gene. Glad you're here. I'm about to get off. Yes, time's about running out. I'm getting hungry. 67 Mustang Resto. Installing shoulder harness seatbelts would be prudent, assuming you don't like the taste of steering wheels. Valid point. To that end, I'm also, with this car, as we know, I'm putting in a roll cage. So it's going to have like legit seatbelts in it, make it even better overall. But yeah, there's all kinds of things you can change or improve on these cars. Braking systems, the steering columns, like I said, but adding stiffness to it really does help out. Okay. Yeah, it's been an hour and 10, so I'm gonna call it a night. I need to get in the house and get something to eat. It's been a long day. Richard says, really informative show. Thanks so much, Barry. You're welcome. So at this point, I do plan to be back next Monday, but I will point out that I am also planning to go to SEMA. SEMA will be the first weekend of November. And I think I'm flying out on the 5th, I think. I'm going to be out there the 5th, 6th, and 7th in SEMA, at SEMA. So I'll be here on Monday, but then making plans to hit the road to Vegas. Okay, so Stefan, replaced my passenger rocker panel and the inner sheet metal part that connects to the floor was way thicker than the original. I suppose it will add some structure. Yes, it will. Okay, so that'll be it for tonight. Thank you all for being here. I will, like I said, I'll be back next Monday at 7 o'clock. We'll see what we can talk about then. And if, like I said, if you're going to go to SEMA, I'll try to see you out there. But that'll be it for tonight. So until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.